Okay, in this quick video, I want to quickly speak about the issue going on in the UK with two-tier policing. For those of you who haven't been paying attention to UK politics, especially like far-right politics, there's this narrative going around in the far right in the UK about how the UK has a two-tiered policing system. And they are supposedly over-policing whites and under-policing blacks. And this rhetoric is very fascinating because it is very similar to American quote-unquote tough on crime rhetoric. And ultimately it shows that for some strange reason, right-wingers have a subconscious desire to inflict pain and to impose their will on other people. It seems that they cannot sufficiently become right-wing without having a desire to inflict pain or impose their will on others. It's like they have these imaginary while the issue of crime, like knife crime in the UK or like gang violence in America is quite real. These people who complain about two-tier policing, they're mostly people who grew up like in the suburbs. Completely, like in America, they grew up in the suburbs, so they're like completely isolated from like the dangers of the inner cities. And the police treat kids in the suburbs with kids' gloves. Even though most studies show that whites and blacks, for example, use marijuana at the same rate, cops are more likely to arrest blacks who use marijuana than whites who use marijuana. And obviously, there are other crimes other than marijuana that cops police blacks for. For example, blacks are overrepresented in gang violence, and a lot of the murders in the United States are gang related. But that's beside the point. The reason why they have this narrative of two-tiered policing, even though they themselves have never been policed in their lives, is because overly policed in their lives, is because they have this subconscious desire to inflict pain on others. We saw this with the UK race riots of 2024. The UK race riots, although what happened to the 3 girls who were murdered that caused the race riot was tragic, it was a riot that was almost entirely created by social media. It was basically a social media riot. And it stands as a testament to how easily we can construct false narratives around ourselves with technology and, to a greater extent, the internet. The issue of two-tiered policing is a non-issue, just as the issue on tough on crime is a non-issue. While these issues, the issues of crime and knife crime in the UK and gang violence in America, are indeed legitimate issues, the slogan two-tiered policing and tough on crime are simply slogans to stir up white angst, anxieties, and fear of people who are not like them, and fear of immigration. That's all it's really about. And the issue of violent crime is mostly like a non-issue. First of all, well, in the UK, you could probably argue that it is because it happens in London, and London is a major city in the UK, and it's like the only major city. And the UK is a very, very small country. I think you can drive like in 8 hours. You can drive from one end of the country to the other end of the country. It's a very small country. Well, in the United States, that argument is far less legitimate because this gang violence in the United States happens in tiny, tiny pockets in the country. In a country that is gigantic. And these cities where this gang violence occurs, they're mostly like abandoned cities, like in Detroit, where there used to be a major motor center.